Good morning, I'm Gretchen Ho. It is a Thursday, the 27th day of March, bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. Let's get to the stories that matter today. Senator Amy Marcos exits her brother's slate Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas, citing recent administration actions. Kitty Duterte and Honeylet are now in the Netherlands to visit former President Rodrigo Duterte ahead of his 80th birthday. Senatorial hopefuls Gringo Onasan and Rodante Marcoleta joined former military leaders in launching a signature drive to bring back former President Duterte from The Hague. And the Cinderella run of Alex Eala continues in the 2025 Miami Open. The Filipina tennis star stunned world number 2, Iga Swiatek, in the quarterfinals. Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda, Senator Amy Marcos has dropped out of the administration's senatorial slate Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas. Senator Marcos attributed her decision to differences in principles, particularly in light of former President Rodrigo Duterte's arrest. She said she can no longer campaign alongside other members of the slate and will maintain her independence throughout the election period. For his part, Alyansa campaign manager Representative Toby Chanco denied reports that opposition former senators Kiko Pangilinan and Bam Aquino would be joining their slate. He also emphasized that the Alyansa is still, quote, solid. 9 candidates from Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas led the latest commissioned survey by social weather stations. Senator Bongo and Representative Erwin Tulfo tied for the top spot with 42% each, followed by Ben Tulfo and Tito Soto, both at 34%. Re-election of Senators Lito Lapid and Bong Revilla secured 5th and 6th place respectively. Senator Pia Cayetano and former Senator Ping Lacson tied for 7th to 8th place, while Senator Bato de la Rosa landed in the 9th. Television host Willie Revilla may rank 10th, followed by Makati Mayor Abby Binay, former Senator Manny Pacquiao, and Las Piñas Representative Camille Villar, who all tied for 11th to 13th place. The survey was conducted from March 15 to 20 through face-to-face interviews with 1,800 registered voters aged 18 and above. Meanwhile, Malacanang has slammed Vice President Sara Duterte's statement that the Philippines is headed to the, quote, dumpster. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the country would be in greater danger if leaders like Duterte, who often leave the country, were in charge. Castro argued that Duterte's frequent absences prevent her from fully performing her duties and keep her out of touch with the administration's initiatives. The Vice President is currently in The Hague to oversee the legal defense of her father, former President Rodrigo Duterte, who is detained on charges of crimes against humanity before the ICC.
Hindi ba mas magiging mapupunta tayo sa dumpster kung ang magiging Pangulo natin ay ang mga katulad nila VP Sara, mas na inuuna pang magpunta sa abroad, magsilbi sa isang tao, although tatay niya po yun, pero marami pa rin pong Pilipino na umaasa sa kanya bilang Vice Presidente. Alam niya po dapat ang obligasyon bilang Vice Presidente.
Kitty Duterte and her mother, Honeylet are now in the Netherlands to visit detained former President Rodrigo Duterte, just in time for his 80th birthday on Friday. For more updates, we have Jovi Francisco joining us live from The Hague in Netherlands. Magandang umaga sa'yo. We have new faces there. How was their visit yesterday, Jovi?
Good morning, Gretchen. Yes, yung ina-expect na pagpunta rito ng mga kaanak ay nagsimula na nga. Although nagulat kami sa date because you were as I reported in this show days ago, based dun sa recollection ni Vice President Sara Duterte ay sa eve pa ng birthday ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte, darating si Honeylet at saka si Kitty Duterte, no? And they will be availing nga sana yung kailang yung visitation slot ay for the relatives ay sa Friday pa dapat sa mismong birthday ng dating Pangulo. Pero we saw them yesterday na nga Gretch, kasi for the first, kasi we were tackling the whole day, ang tinatakol natin ay yung ICC order na magbigay ng mga ebidensya o mag-submit na ng ebidensya yung Prosec and Defense Panel, and I was doing the live reports from the ICC. Nagkausap pa tayo before I went there. Yung pala ay merong biglang darating doon sa penitentiary at yun ang mag-ina ang dumating doon kanina. Also, quite interesting is the fact that they attempted to enter. Kasi ang alam ko nga, naka-reserve yung slot for Friday pa. So, siguro na sumubok lang sila, Gretchen, na baka payagan sila. Pero apparently, hindi. Kaya sila nag-spend ng more time outside. I know you're familiar with this area. Naka-cordon off na yan, nakabarikada na. Para dyan yung supporters ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. So dyan pumunta yung mag-ina.
At what time did they arrive there? Kasi actually, pag nandyan kami mga 9+, si Senator Robin Padilla nandyan din, parang nag-aantay din ng approval na siya ay makabisita. So sila naman, what time sila dumating, and did they mention anything about emailing, waiting for a chance to get that approval during that day, or hindi ba kayo kinausap ni Kitty at saka ni Ms. Honeylet?
Dumating sila right after lang ng frontline Pilipinas. So mga tanghali, Gretchen, they didn't talk to the media. May conscious effort na or decision yon nung dalawa na hindi makipag-usap sa media, pero napag-alaman nga ng mga fellow reporters natin dito na pumasok nga doon to inquire about the possibility. Pero yun na nga, alam natin na merong pag-email yan, para may prior scheduling. So hindi rin sila nakapunta. So nag-spend na lang sila ng time dyan sa labas. So siguro mga more than an hour sila na nag-spend ng time dyan sa area designated for the supporters. Kita mo, Gretchen, may barricade na.
Oo nga. Bakit nga may barricade na at parang dumami lalo yung tao sa labas? So did they expect the two to come on that day kaya dumami bigla?
Walang nag-expect kasi nga nagbigay ng date si Vice President Duterte na at least tomorrow pa sila darating. Pero konti lang nung una yan, yung iba sa kanila nandun sa ICC nagpo-photo opportunity doon sa ICC, doon sa iconic na parang facade doon, tapos may locator na blue doon sa labas. Nandun sila nung nabalitaan nila na dumating doon, so sabay-sabay kaming nagpunta papunta sa penitentiary, at kaya dumami ng ganyan. Actually, mas marami nga today than yesterday at saka nung Monday.
Any sightings of Senator Robin Padilla and also the lawyer, Nicholas Kaufman?
Nicholas Kaufman, wala. Ilang araw natin gusto kausapin because of the submissions. Lalo tinatanong nila Ses Drilon kagabi sa akin kung na-receive na ng defense panel yung 181 pieces of evidence. Well, sabi ko naka-copy furnish kasi nandoon sila doon sa sa pwede lang to sumilip doon dahil yung annexes doon ay confidential, pero allowed ang defense na makita ito, pero hindi natin nakikita si Attorney Kaufman, si Senator Robin Padilla naman. Ang medyo interesting, hindi ba niya nabalitaan na dating yung mag-ina dahil dumating siya siguro an hour after pa siya bumisita dyan sa lugar, Gretchen.
Okay, are there more solid plans over the birthday of the former president tomorrow? Meron bang mga pinaplano yung mga nakasama mo dyan? And also the other side, I remember there was something scheduled by the pro-human rights groups there.
Yeah, yung pro-human rights group ay sure na merong event sa Friday. Ano? Alam ko morning ito, no? Bilang parang kung ano yung mangyayari dito ay parang kasabay ng mga mangyayari sa iba't ibang parts ng Europe, ano, na kanilang kinalampag na magkaroon ng ganitong surprise parang protest rally or to show yung kanilang suporta doon sa anti-Duterte sentiment. So sure na yon, we'll be covering that also. Tapos dito tayo mahati, Gretchen, kasi sinusulong talaga ng Vice Presidente yung picnic sa park. No? Pero at the same time, alam natin na kailangan bantayan ang penitentiary dahil alam natin na nakaschedule at allowed na pumasok yung family. At least yung dalawang bagong dating na sila inilista for that day. So, parang dalawa yung aabangan mo. Medyo malayo yung park versus at saka penitentiary.
Oo, wala pang kumpirmado pero aabangan natin yan kung anong mga kaganapan na bukas in the 80th birthday of the former president. Ikaw ba ay nakakapasok dun sa barikada? Parang nasa labas lang kasi yung video eh.
Pwedeng pumasok doon pero kasi para ano ba tawag doon? Kasi ito na nga, susunod na sabihin ay hindi pwede mag-interview pero pwede kang makimarites or pwede kang makinig doon sa conversation. Hindi naman bawal. Since malapit sila din sa parang barikada, nakaupo, so minabuti ko na dyan ako pumasok. Pero pwede kang pumasok dyan sa loob. We're allowed to do that. Saka allowed ng police or authorities ng The Hague at saka nitong lugar na to na ang media can go around. Basta media ka, you can go around, you can do live anywhere. Wag lang doon sabi mo nga, sa bike lane, bawal siyempre. No? Pero parang pwede kami kahit malapit doon sa door ng penitentiary ay pwede na. No? So, Ina, speaking of yung pwede kaming makinig doon sa mga pag-uusap nila, dalawa lang siyempre, no? Honeylet, the common partner of the former president. Talaga sa bawat nalapit sa kanya, thank you maririnig sa kanya. Wala naman masyadong ikinuwento, no? Pero si Kitty, parang natanong ng mga kababayan natin na OFWs kung ano yung wish niya para sa kanyang ama, no, sa darating na birthday. Ang sinabi niya, sana kumakain na sa loob, kahit ano pa yan, kainin doon sa loob ng penitentiary. Wala daw matigas ang ulo. Tsaka siyempre gusto niya good health para sa father niya.
Wala kayo nakikitang nadala nilang pasalubong na pagkain?
Wala, alam mo, wala po. Pero kasi may sasakyan na nakapark malapit. It's a yellow, ano ba yung kotse ko dati? Alam mo yun, yung blue ko na kotse na merong gulong sa likod. Basta Ford. Yun yung kanilang sasakyan dito at nakahanda yun. So baka merong gamit doon na nadadali pag pinayagan sila.
Well, it seems to be
Ford EcoSport, yung sasakyan nila na kulay.
Oo. Baka nandun yung mga dala-dala sa loob, ano? Pero kahit si VP ang nagsabi na ang food ay medyo masela, no? So kailangan dumaan yan sa security measures, 'di ba? It seems to be a spectacle of sort out there with Filipinos coming over, taking photos with the ICC building and also the penitentiary, and also a lot of camping out, waiting, not just there but also in Malieveld Park, in The Hague. Supporters and also journalists and also those who'd like to witness a piece of history. In the meantime, maraming salamat. We'll let you go for now. 1 a.m. dyan. We have Joey Francisco reporting to us live from The Hague in Netherlands. Senate President Jesus Escudero clarifies that the upper chamber has no plans to retaliate following pro-Duterte OFW's plan for a zero remittance week. Escudero stressed that retaliation is not the right response and urged understanding instead. This follows a statement from Presidential Chief Legal Counsel Juan Ponce Enrile, who warned OFWs that Congress could retaliate if they halt remittances in protest of former President Duterte's ICC detention. He said lawmakers could revoke privileges such as income tax exemptions and remittance benefits. Pro-Duterte group Maisug Croatia said their zero remittance week will run from March 28, the former president's birthday, until April 4. Meanwhile, the Philippine National Police has denied claims that they have recalled Senator Bato de la Rosa's police security escorts in Davao City. PNP spokesperson Police Brigadier General Gene Fajardo clarified that the senator may have been referring to the general recall of police personnel assigned as security escorts to various personalities. She explained that the recall of Regional Police Security Protection Unit personnel in Region 11 was implemented on January 13 following a COMELEC resolution regulating security escorts during the election period. PNP data showed that 445 police personnel assigned to government officials, 228 to private individuals, and 197 to election candidates were withdrawn as part of this measure. Don't go away. We will be back with more stories for you right after the break. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Senatorial candidates Gringo Onasan, Representative Rodante Marcoleta, and other former military officials have initiated a signature campaign urging the return of former President Duterte from The Hague. Onasan said a desk will be set up at Liwasang Bonifacio for those who wish to sign. He added that signatures will also be collected online for overseas supporters who want to sign the petition. The initiative aims to file a petition before the International Criminal Court through a people's initiative. The former senator emphasized that there is no specific target for the number of signatures, and the petition will be submitted as soon as possible. Now, to tell us more about his insights about the story and more issues, we have political analyst Earl Pareño joining us on Morning Matters today. He also wrote former President Duterte's biography, Beyond Will and Power. I'm interested to know where his mind is amidst all the political happenings. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, first of all, I mean, with everything that's been happening, did it take you on a whirlwind to see this kind of plot twist to the former president's story? You published your book back in 2019,
Right.
of the former president's biography. Pero ngayon, biglang nagbago yung buong kwento. I mean, where were you when everything happened?
I think hindi naman nagbago ang kwento ni Digong. Nagpatuloy lang. Maski doon sa libro, controversial figure na siya. And he was a controversial figure nung naging presidente siya. And he'll forever be a controversial figure. So, ang ginawa niya sa Davao, malaking controversy na yun eh. The killings, no? How he imposed discipline doon sa city at dinala niya yun dito. So, I was not surprised na ganito kalaki ang istorya niya.
How did this book come to be? I mean, did you think about it? Did he approach you for it?
No. Nakausap ko lang siya during the campaign. Hindi pa siya nagde-declare formally na tatakbo siya. Pero yung mga staff niya sinasabi na tatakbo siya. So nakausap ko siya together yung parang isang pamangkin niya, relative niya, yung dati niyang staff sa Davao, then Attorney Levy Baligod. No, we were there. Tapos yung nagkwekwentuhan kami, parang sabi ko iba yung karakter nitong tao na to. Sabi ko kung mananalo to, isusulat ko yung buhay niya.
Ibig sabihin, sobrang tagal niyo na pong sinusubaybayan yung kanyang buhay bilang isang politiko. Tama po ba?
Not really. Siyempre, madalas ako sa Davao.
Ano yung pinakaunang taon? I mean, since what year kayo nagmamasid?
When I was with the Manila Times, mga 1994, 95, 96.
Matagal-tagal na din.
Yes, oo.
Siya ay ano pa
mga
noon? Noong 1994?
Mayor pa siya.
Mayor.
So, actually, mayor pa lang siya, pero hindi lang naman siya ang ino-observe ko eh. Maraming mga politiko. I was really interested and I was covering politics that time. So,
Despite
isa siyang...
despite being a controversial figure, have you gotten to the bottom of it? I mean, parang itong love para sa kanya ng mga OFW kasi galing lang ako doon sa Hague.
Yes.
At yun nga no, yung mga nagpupunta doon, mga Pilipino from different parts of Europe, talagang bumiyahe sila. And despite yun nga no, yung extrajudicial killings,
Yes.
his drug war, brutal drug war. I mean, have you gotten down to the bottom of why he is beloved by so many Filipinos? He is a very popular frontrunner and candidate still.
Actually, sa tingin ko, it's the overlap ng pamamaraan niya, the method niya to instill discipline sa society, and yung desire ng mga tao for peace and order. So there's an overlap. Then, sa tingin ko, at the bottom also ay yung desire ng mga tao for a strong man to really impose day-to-day discipline sa streets, sa business transactions, sa chaotic ang society eh. So naghahanap ang tao talaga ng paano natin ayusin to. And it's digong, maski sabihin mong pang-propaganda lang, image building lang yan, no? Nagugustuhan ng tao yan dahil umaasa sila dyan eh. Sana gawin niya. At nung nagkaroon ng killings, no, maraming pumapalakpak na OFW dahil maraming OFW na may mga anak, asawa, na ginagamit lang yung remittances nila para mag-drugs. Pero sa panahon ni Duterte, actually, nandoon ako a few weeks ago, yung van driver, sabi niya, sabi ko, anong tingin mo sa nangyayari ngayon kay Digong? Sabi niya, mas gusto ko yung kay Digong dahil before naging presidente si Digong, hindi sila makatravel dyan papuntang, isang Moro area yan eh, no? Papuntang especially pag gabi na. Ang daming mga tulisan. Sa panahon ni Digong, nawala ang mga tulisan. Tapos ngayon bumalik na naman nung nawala siya. So nakikita nila no, na may kaibahan. Tayo, the human rights advocates, parang grapple doon sa bakit tatanggapin nila ang pagpatay.
Mga pagpatay. Oh.
Yes, bakit tatanggapin nila?
At ididikit ko doon yung pagpasok ng mga pugo.
Yeah.
Na naging hub ng iba't ibang mga krimen.
Yes.
So, I mean, pag tinignan mo, yun ang kaakibat nun. Hindi
Yes.
ba?
Actually, I don't know paano yung sociologists, the social psychologists will explain that. Pero isang phenomenon yun na I don't know, sa akin, hindi ko pa rin ma-explain yun. Pero na may isang journalist na nagtanong sa akin the other day na end na ba ito ng mga Dutertes? Sabi ko, huwag niyong i-count out ang mga Dutertes. Ano talaga, genuine yung support ng mga tao sa kanila. Ang makikita ko lang talaga, hati. Very polarized tayo ngayon. Pero wala akong nakikitang pro-Duterte na naging anti-Duterte after ng arrest niya. Or isang anti-Duterte na naging pro-Duterte during the arrest. Ibig sabihin, we will remain as polarized as we were before, pero mas vocal ang mga tao. Ganon yung nakikita ko. Naging vocal ang base niya dahil sa arrest. Pero parang walang kung in terms of numbers, no, walang changes sa numbers. So, it would remain 50-50. That's how polarized we are.
How are you interpreting this chapter in the former president's life? I mean, ito, nasa loob na siya ng detention facility ng ICC. Anong kumbaga, parang pag binuo mo yung kwento, meron niyang climax, meron niyang denouement, o di ba mga ganon?
Yeah.
How are you interpreting this chapter?
Sa tingin ko, legacy mode talaga siya ngayon. Alam niya, hindi na siya healthy. At alam niya yung hindi na siya healthy. Pero gusto niya i-sustain yung dynasty niya. Ibig sabihin, he started the dynasty in mga 1987, no? 87, then 2010, malaki na yung mga anak niya. Gusto niya magkaroon ng successor doon. At makukuha niya lang yung successor niya yon kung mapapanalo niya yung yugto ng buhay niya ito. Kung matatalo siya nito, wala nang susunod
At si
sa
VP
kanya.
Sara ba ang kanyang napiling successor?
So far, si VP Sara lang ang material na pwede.
Matagal na bang alam ni Digong yon na ang kanyang babaeng anak ang susunod sa kanya? Kasi paborito niya si Sara eh. Diba?
Maski nung pinag-vice niya si Sara, dahil actually nasa libro ko yun eh, na nung height ka, yung mga terms niya kasi, si Sara hindi pa pwedeng tumakbo. Underage pa, then nag-aaral pa. Tapos, lalo na sila Pulong. Si Pulong hindi naman ganun ka-material or si Baste. No? So, very excited siya nung pumayag si Sara na maging vice niya. At napanalo niya nga si Sara. Vice. 2010 nata naging vice si Sara. Tapos, kaso lang si Sara has her own mind also. Nung naging mayor na siya, pinatalsik niya lahat ng mga tao ng tatay niya. No? Mga 200 plus ata yun ng mga department heads, lahat-lahat. Pinalitan niya ng sarili niya. Tapos nagkaroon siya ng ibang policy towards the barangay captains. Dati kasi sa panahon ni Digong, barangay captain ka, hindi ka mag-a-appointment. No, dadiretso ka, i-entertain ka ni Digong. Si Sara dapat may appointment. Nagagalit yung mga barangay captain niyan. No?
Ibang style.
Ibang style niya. Kaso lang sa ngayon, karamihan ng barangay captains ng Davao ay sa tatay pa rin, hindi kay Sara.
Galing kasi ako doon eh, sa Hague.
Yeah.
And medyo, yung parang na-observe ko doon ay, parang nagulat ako doon sa pahayag ni VP Sara. Sinabi niya na baka hindi na makabalik ang dating Pangulo at mag-move on na tayo. I mean, yung statement na yon, hindi niya sinabing awayin natin ng gobyerno, hindi niya sinabing tara, parang let's go out to the streets. Walang call for that. Kahit ang dating Pangulo, parang maging mahinahon kayo. Meron ba, tingin mo, may ganong pagtanggap sa dating Pangulo na ito yung kapalaran ko, kailangan ko labanan to. I mean, anong pagbasa mo doon?
Alam mo, nung sinabi niya sa Quadcom na ang tagal ko na kayo hinihintay, nandoon yung parang yabang, di ba? Makikita mo yung yabang. Nung hinuhuli na siya, tapos dinidelay nila for 12 hours, parang sabi ng mga tao, akala ko gusto mo at susunod ka, susurrender ka, nandyan na. Di ba? Pero sa tingin ko, denial stage yun eh. Then, nilipad siya. There was that denial. Then, later, I think, naka-reflect yan siya. Acceptance, dahil yun naman hinihingi ko. Noon pa niya sinasabi na, I'll just talk to my God kung mamamatay ako. Dahil sa libro ko, may conversation sila doon sa isang general na, Mayor, hindi ka ba natatakot na yung soul mo mapupunta sa hell? Sabi niya, kung ano man gusto, kung ano man pwede kong gawin, ito medyo madrama, no? Kung ano man pwede kong gawin para magkaroon lang ng peace ang mga mamamayan ko, gagawin ko yon. Then I'll just talk to my God. Palagi niyan sinasabi yon. Although medyo may pagka-dramatic, but I think na-realize niya na kung magre-reverse siya na ay ayaw ko pa mamatay o hindi ko ma-accept ito, ang legacy na maiiwan niya ay parang ay takot pala, ay yabang lang pala ito.
Ayaw niya
Diba?
magpakita ng
Ayaw
ganong
niya.
side niya.
So, sa
Pero
tingin ko,
something that
acceptance
baffled
na
me
din
also, itong paghahalin tulad ni VP Sara sa kanyang tatay, sa nangyari kay Ninoy Aquino Jr.? Ano yun? Parang nasabi lang ba yun?
Sa tingin ko, sa kay VP Sara, para hindi niya pinag-isipan yun. Wala namang comparison talaga yun. Iba naman si Ninoy. Iba ang circumstances, historical circumstances, personal circumstances, political circumstances, doon ngayon sa tatay niya. So
wag natin i-overanalyze, in
yes,
short.
Mali lang na
nasabi
statement yun.
Oo.
Parang,
What would be the challenge na? I mean, we are in the legacy phase, as you mentioned.
yes.
Ano ang hamon sa pamilya Duterte sa ngayon?
Sa tingin ko kasi, alam nila na ang issue pa rin sa maraming Pilipino ay peace and order, security. That's foremost. At kung may magtutuloy-tuloy niyan in a more humane, in a more parang not the way of EJK's, no? In a more legal, no?
Strong man, but somebody operates within the framework of
the law. Yes. Sa tingin ko, kaya nila magtuloy-tuloy. Pero,
Kung sino man yon.
yes.
Oo.
I think Sarah can do that. Although, ibang-iba siya sa usapin ng kung utak ng tatay niya, ibang-iba siya.
I wanna get your mind on the people around the Duterte family. Kasi sabi nila, ngayon na yung panahon na malalaman ng mga Duterte kung sino ang totoo sa kanila. We have, the likes of Senator Bato, Senator Bongo, Attorney Panelo, at kung sino-sino pa na nasa paligid. I mean, anong basa mo dyan? Kasi also, I remember there was a whole lot of chatter about the Vice President running for President back in 2022 na naudlot yun dahil meron daw parang hidwaan si Bongo at si Sara. I mean,
Yes.
give us an insight into that.
Una, si Bongo at saka si Sara ay hindi talaga in good relations sa pagkakaalam ko. But Honeylet and Bongo are much closer. No? So, in terms of influence kay Digong, dahil kay Honeylet and Bongo, medyo mas naging influential siya, malaking influence niya over sa kay Sara. No? Dahil si Elizabeth Zimmerman naman ay hindi rin ganun ka close kay Digong. But very close siya kay Sara. Of course, nanay niya
Pero
yan.
yung mga, si Pulong at saka si Baste, where are they?
Yeah,
Are
of
they
course,
with the
kay
sister?
Sara. Yes, kay Sara, kay Zimmerman.
So,
hindi
are you
ayaw
foreseeing
nila
some,
kaya.
possible? I mean, do you see them uniting, banding together in the midst of all of this?
Tactically, yes. Strategically, no. Tactically, sa call nilang ibalik si get him home, ganyan, bring him home. Sa tingin ko, they will unite. Pero sa politics later, maski sa local, I don't think they could unite.
And speaking of unity, meron din mga, ito nga, dinispute ng alyansa that they're in talks with with Kiko Pangilinan and Bam Aquino. I mean, kasi napaisip ako dun sa hirit ni VP, yung Ninoy Aquino Jr. I mean, do you see that happening down the line, that there would be some sort of talks between those parties?
No,
O talagang that's,
sa polarized world kasi natin ngayon, may maliit na third pole. And that's sila Bam, sila sila Kiko, na etong Duterte and the Marcoses, are parang trying their best to parang pull them sa orbit nila. Etong forces na to. So, natural yun.
Natural. Oh.
So, kung gaano ka maging effective or paano laruin yon ng third pole, remains to be seen. Pero election season ngayon anything could happen. Ang ano ko lang talaga, parang sad lang ako dito dahil ang naging national discourse ay between the Dutertes and the Marcoses, the dynastic conflict. Hindi dapat yun ang pinag-uusapan.
Ano ang dapat natin pinag-uusapan?
Ang pinag-uusapan natin ay nation building, how to create programs, establish programs para sa economic development natin, para sa anti-poverty natin ng mga programs. Hindi itong parang
Away ng dalawang pamilya.
Oo, dahil hindi makakatulong talaga sa bansa.
Actually, yun nga yung naisip ko na bakit tayo humantong sa ganitong punto na personalities ang ating iniidolo, sinusundan, imbis na tanungin natin o tuligsain natin ang bawat politiko sa bawat issue.
Right.
At sa kanilang mga ginagawa para sa bayan. Kumbaga, ang sentro dapat ay ang bayan at hindi ang mga politiko.
Ano ba yung program ng senatorial slate ni Bongbong? Ano ba yung program ng nila Duterte? Hindi na nga napag-uusapan Ang napag-uusapan, ano ba yung stance nila doon sa ICC, nangyayari sa ICC ngayon? Yung parang ganyan. Kung yun yung magiging basis ng votes natin, mababaw masyado yun. At magkakaroon yun ng impact, hindi lang sa next 6 years, even sa presidential elections.
Huling katanungan, 2025 is turning out to be an interesting year. We don't only have that, the Duterte arrest before the ICC. We also have an election campaign, midterm elections coming up. We also have the impeachment trial of the Vice President in the Senate and in the Congress. Kayo po ba ay magsusulat ng bagong libro? Una-una? At pangalawa, anong aasahan natin? Anong inaabangan mo?
Actually, yung digong book ko, Beyond Will and Power, may 3 chapters akong tinanggal doon Dahil it talks about initially yung drug war niya, yung West Philippine Sea, yung administration niya, na during that time, hindi pa siya midway sa sa term niya, sabi ko parang
Premature.
hilaw pa. Yes.
Okay.
So, tinanggal ko yon. So, nag-end ang book actually doon sa pagpanalo niya, yung niya sa Luneta, rally niya. So, hopefully, matapos ko yun. Marami
So that's the next goal. With this chapter, of course.
Yes.
And probably the next one that will succeed the father.
Yes.
Abangan natin yan. Where do we get a copy of your book?
Actually, nasa online, Beyond Will and Power. There's a FB page ng Beyond Will and Power. Doon, pwede umorder. Then, i-deliver na lang namin.
To get an insight into the psyche of the former president and the events surrounding this family, we have that book to read. Thank you so much for joining us today
Yes,
and
thank you
helping us
also, Gretchen.
understand this and that. We have political analyst and author Earl Pareño. Stay tuned. Morning Matters will be back for more after the short break. My name is Gretchen Ho, and this is Morning Matters. The Department of Public Works and Highways has announced that major roadworks on Edsa will commence this Holy Week. The initial phase will focus on the rehabilitation of the north and southbound lanes from Pasay to Guadalupe in preparation for the 2026 ASEAN Summit. Repairs will also include the northbound lane from Balintawak to Monumento. The 8 billion peso project, finalized by DPWH, DOTR, and MMDA, was approved by President Bongbong Marcos last Monday. The plan includes the reconstruction of the Guadalupe Bridge, which is set to begin in 2026. DPWH will also construct temporary bridges to maintain smooth traffic flow during the rehabilitation process. And to give us insights into this and other matters, we have with us this morning George Royeca, CEO of ride-hailing app Angkas, also party list representative running for party list representative of Angkasanga party list. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Gretchen.
Good morning. Okay, una-una CEO ka pa rin ba ng Angkas sa ngayon?
Actually, no, I'm a full-time candidate. I tried, to be both, but the campaign frenzy is just, there's no time.
Pero bawal, di ba? I mean, if you do win, you have to give that up.
For sure. I mean, I think I've left it in very good hands with
Your
my wife
wife.
as our founder, yes.
Okay, your thoughts on the Edsa roadworks that are coming up. First and foremost, what are you expecting from that? And is it really necessary? I mean, it is a preparation for the ASEAN Summit, but also it brings to mind the other infrastructure projects which need attention. Your thoughts?
Well, let's brace ourselves. I think it's really time. It's high time for that rehabilitation. There's definitely going to be a lot of traffic, and we need to make sure that one, we have discipline on the road, and number two, we prepare for it. Preparation is key for especially these things when you're going to have different routing, alternative routes, and hopefully we can help being part of the transportation or alternative transportation in the metro.
So tama yon na kailangan talaga natin yung rehabilitation.
I think they're going to be doing it in phases, which is the right way of doing it. But of course, I could find better reasons to do it other than the ASEAN, right? But might as well. I mean, if we're not going to do it, might as well do it now, right? We just gotta brace ourselves for these types of construction works and
maghahanap ka lang
rehabilitation.
naman ng ng pwedeng mabudgetan.
Yes.
But they will start, they announced that they will start with the busway. They will close that
Correct.
first. To your opinion, has the busway been an effective solution to the traffic situation in the metro?
I think it's definitely helped, especially when you cordon off the buses to one lane. As I don't know if we remember, but I'm sure we remember it's just recently, when buses would take up maybe 2 or 3 lanes when they swerve from one side to another. And that's a major blockage, right? And if you do that over a period of, few buses, that takes a lot of time in motion. So it's really helped, I think. And these dedicated lanes are definitely a sure way to go. It's just a matter of optimizing the lanes that you have in EDSA because you don't have that much.
So you don't agree with the quipping of a senator na tanggalin na lang yung bus lane na yan?
I think we need to take a look at our infrastructure and really work out the right type of infrastructure for the right usage of the road because EDSA will always be EDSA. I've always said this: if you put a second floor in EDSA and you don't plan well, that second floor will be filled up with cars the next day, and it still will be traffic. I mean, you have one main thoroughfare that's actually managing 17 LGUs. So it's a very very big thoroughfare. It's a lot of congestion. You have to decongest it, which is why you have all these alternative major thoroughfares also that's been in the works, that's been happening. Yeah.
Actually, nakausap ko namin yung DPWH at sinabi nila that yun yung struggle with for example, the drainage system of the metro kasi you're dealing with different localities. But I mean, ikaw mismo, are you prepared for that? You are running for a part of this representative. This time, it's a much different role from being an entrepreneur and a businessman. and you'd have to deal with the frustrating realities of bureaucracy.
Well, one of the things that's I think is different in terms of the perspective I bring in. I'm a tech entrepreneur, right? And I think the difference with tech entrepreneurs is that we really come in to solve problems. We like seeing the problem and finding ways and solutions for it. And I think that's what I bring in the table. I would love for many, many more entrepreneurs to actually come in because we're naturally problem solvers. And we deal with a lot of bureaucracy. We try to shortcut a lot of these bureaucracies. Of course, when you're dealing with public funds and you're dealing with things that are imbibed with public service, it's a little bit different. But I think I've had 8 years of experience dealing with the government in my own sector, especially the motorcycles and mobility and transportation and creating jobs. And entrepreneurs solve problems. And what I've been doing for the last 8 years is really creating livelihood for thousands of Filipinos. So hopefully we can expand that, institutionalize it, scale it up to millions of Filipinos that will have a better livelihood because of our decision here.
Pero unang-una, tanongin muna natin, may lisensya ka na ba? What happened there? Your license got revoked, you were in the headlines, and if you Google your name, that is the first thing that comes up.
Well, it brings new meaning to a 90-day campaign, right? Because apparently my license has been revoked for 90 days. Honestly, Gretchen, I haven't received the order yet. So I think my license is in limbo. I surrendered it. I surrendered it voluntarily. I think it was a day later or a few days later after the incident occurred. And I'm still waiting on the regulators.
What happened there? There was a motorcade.
Yeah.
Your motorcade.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Was it promoting you as a candidate?
No, it was actually a motorcade going to Marilake, promoting safety and I guess ironically, was this road rules, right? Enforcing road rules, right, in Marilake. So that motorcade was going to the main motorcade, actually.
Pero saan kayo nahuli?
It was in the Rizal area in Cainta, and one of our guys took it upon themselves to marshal the motorcade. Usually when you do that, you need to coordinate with the local government unit, you need to coordinate with the highway patrol group, the different regulators and the enforcement agencies. We do that all the time, but we were remiss in that during that day. And this is why I took it upon myself to, take the brunt rather than, thousands or hundreds of other motorcycles to, have their license revoked or be penalized because of that incident.
So, ilan ng riders na kasama mo noon?
I think it was a few hundred riders. I don't really know the exact count. We sent after we were given the show cause order, we sent a reply together with the list of riders. But for me, they were following instructions. When you've been in a motorcade, Gretchen, you really just follow the person in front of you. And ultimately, that rests upon my shoulders and my responsibility and accountability. Because at the end of the day, that's my company, that's my organization, and we are the ones that set it up. So rightly or wrongly, it was our decision, and just the bikers just followed, our guidance.
So, paano kayo umiikot ngayon?
Me?
Wala kayong lisensya?
Well, umaangkas ako. Promotion.
Diba? Okay, speaking of being a representative and a CEO, former CEO of Angkas, there are questions as to how you will be able to balance the interests of your constituents, knowing that you come from a certain company, the lead in this industry, in motorcycle taxis. How do you make sure that you do get to promote a level playing field with other players such as Joyride and Move It?
So, that's a very good question. In fact, the 8 years of me, working with the government, rallying, really pushing for regulation, was never been for one company. The policies that we've instituted has always benefited, multiple players. It was open to all companies, and has created tens and thousands of jobs and livelihood, and also been able to service millions of commuters. And I don't think that's going to change. For me, I think I've I've had this epiphany, and I'm transcending now to public service and public policy. And I know that we have the right system. This system works. It's created really, really good livelihood for people. Has uprooted many Filipinos out of the poverty line. And this is something that we need to institutionalize. You know, obviously I'm divesting from the company so that I'll have a free and clear vision in terms of how I want to make sure that we create an ecosystem for transport workers and also informal workers. I mean, in the Philippines, there's only two types of workers: employees, and then everyone else is bunched up to be seen as an informal worker, which to me doesn't make any sense. An informal worker means he's illegitimate or not legitimate. And I think the only difference is a classification issue. And if we're able to recognize all workers as rightly so, as workers that are contributing to the economy, then they should be afforded the right benefits that government should, foundationally provide its constituents.
Well, sa ngayon, ang nagpo-provide ng benefits na yun, hindi kayo, di ba?
Yes, yes.
It's Angkas.
We give accident insurance, right? We did a MOA with Pag-ibig and SSS so that they can
But if you're
recognize the
classified
bikers.
as a formal worker, what kind of support? I mean,
We need to change the system. Right now, a lot of our government agencies that provide these benefits are still customized for employees, or at least largely, all of their policies are still really kind of fit for employees. But right now, because of technology, because of changing times, there's a lot of gig economy workers, that fall through the cracks. They don't get the benefit, but they earn enough to be able to, be afforded a lot of those safety nets.
what's the update on the piece of legislation? I mean, to actually legalize motorcycle taxis. Ba't hindi pa napapasa yun?
Isa pa yun. I mean, we should be able to pass that, and I'm hoping to pass that in my first year in
Anong
office.
mga nagiging balakid? Medyo matagal-tagal na din.
Well, there's a lot of provisions there that needs to be discussed. I think the lower house has passed it. It's on the Senate floor, but there's still things like taxation, like labor. There's things like benefits also. There's so many things that is just beyond safety. I think we've been focused a lot on safety, which is important, but we've proven this already. Our safety record in Angkas and motorcycle taxis is over 99%. So this is something that's, I think, been happening already for so many years.
And whether or not it is there, people will ride habal-habal anyway. So
It's definitely much safer than being unregulated and being underground.
Where do you stand on the PUV modernization program?
I think modernization should not just be an exercise of improving vehicles or upgrading vehicles, even if it's for the environment. I think we should go people first. Modernization should modernize the way people live, the way people work, and the way people benefit from their livelihood. And if this is not being done, then I think you're missing the point. It's not about upgrading the vehicle. It's not about becoming more environmentally
as a businessman,
friendly.
taking a look at the business model proposed by government, marahas ba yun? Do you think
work.
it's feasible? It
Doesn't work.
For you?
For me, it doesn't work. Because, how do you take care of the driver? And then because you're taking care of the driver, how does that become more beneficial to the commuter? You got to look at the people. Everything that we do in Angkas, as an entrepreneur, it is a business, but without our workforce, without the people that are stakeholders, that business will crumble. And I think this is the kind of fresh perspective that we should always take a look at, because the job of the government, at its core, is really to provide jobs. That's it, right? Provide jobs so that your constituency, are able to take care of their own constituency, which is their family.
If you do win a Congress seat, are you prepared for the hullabaloo, the jungle that it will be? Taking a look at the hearings now and the news cycle, you're getting into that. It's not just going to be the TNVS sector, but everything else.
So
how are you? How have you prepared yourself for this?
Gretchen, I guess I'm, a neophyte, idealistic. I'm still, I still have my own set of naivety going into it. But for me, the way I run my company as an entrepreneur is that there is noise. There's always going to be noise, and you guys just got to keep your eye on the ball. And for me, it's employment. It's employment for people that fall through the cracks, that make a living, make a decent living, make a good living, but are not given the foundational benefits by the government. And thereby, pag nagkasakit sila, pag na-aksidente, walang insurance kasi hindi nabigyan ng gobyerno, nangungutang na at yun na, pababa ng paba. So what we do right now, because they fall through the cracks, we take somebody who's already productive, and because of life events that we don't take care of, right, then they become unproductive. While we're here scrambling for
But
jobs.
have you figured out your non-negotiables getting into this?
My campaign promise is fairly simple. One, I want to legitimize motorcycle taxi. Number two, we need to do Magna Cartas for the other riders like delivery riders and tricycles. Tricycles has been there for 40 years, legalized, more than so many decades. But still no benefits from the government up to today. Na pag-iwanan ng panahon at nawala ng atensyon ng national government, napunta lang sa lokal. So for me, everything else is noise. I'm there to do a job, plain and simple. And I think I've navigated Congress and Senate and the government enough for the last 8 years that I have some inkling. Of course, it's different being inside. But, you know, I'm an entrepreneur.
Lot to learn.
I'm an entrepreneur.
I hope you keep your eye on the ball.
Yes.
Keep your eye on the ball. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a party list nominee, first nominee
Yes.
of Angkas George Royeca, and a former CEO of Angkas. And before we go, we got some good news for you. Filipina tennis star Alex Eala stunned world number 2 Iga Swiatek to storm into the Miami Open semifinals. Eala's Cinderella run continues as she claims her third straight win over a Grand Slam champion. The 19-year-old took control early, crushing set number 1 before a tough set number 2 win to seal the deal. Final score 6-2 and 7-5. Next up for Eala is a battle for a final spot against either Emma Raducanu or world number 4 Jessica Pegula. Now, after her win, Eala thanked fans for their support. Teen Phenom, as they call her now in the New York Times. We're excited for her journey. But in the meantime, that's it for today's episode of Morning Matters. My name is Gretchen Ho. We are One News, all sides, all the time.